In the last year, Kathryn Gallant was faced with the prospect of an invasive esophageal cancer that required intense treatments and a surgery with a 25% mortality rate. It was from that place that Kathryn developed a personal plan for her survival that included a list of intentions and the adoption of a rather surprising symbol that she felt embodied her "hell yeah" attitude.
We won't declare me cured until I pass the 5-year mark. So I'm on the countdown now.
How do you feel?
I feel pretty good. I'm tired. They told me it would take at least a year to fully recover from the surgery. The surgery was like 8 or 9 hours long, and it was big.
And that was in February?
That was in February. And so they said, you won't totally feel yourself until about a year has gone by. But, I'm working as hard as I ever did. I'm back on the road, fully back into my career. I competed with the horses this summer. I'm able to do most, all my activities of daily living.
Do you yet ask the question, why me?
No. Why bother? Why bother? So here's what I'll say. This is important. I don't take any credit for this.
For this being?
Surviving.
Okay.
And being robust. I have a freakish body. I am the healthiest sick person you will ever meet. My body is, I'm sure someday it's going to say, okay, I'm done. But it can take a licking and keep on ticking, and I have no idea why. I don't eat special foods. I don't work out. I don't come from some superhuman genetic pool. Obviously, I have maybe kind of a questionable genetic pool. I've had cancer twice, but I'm just awed by it. It's like I'm watching it. It's like well done, buddy. I mean, take it away. I don't know how to explain it. It's just kind of awesome. The month after the surgery, by the time I got home and started walking, it felt like there was going to be such a hill to climb, and I didn't know how far I was going to recover. I didn't know how close back to what used to be normal I was going to get. I had a couple of weeks where, I did all the things I was supposed to do. I kept taking my medication and taking the feeding through the tube and walking, but I was, I don't know how this is going to go. I was worried that I wouldn't recover to a point that I would have a life that I was excited about. Was I going to be able to drive the horses? I've been driving horses for 10 years. I know what it takes. And in March, I would feel my body and my balance. And I'd say, and my horses are very civilized. They're not monsters. They're not pulling my arms out. But you certainly have to have your balance. You certainly have to have your vestibular system working. You need to be able to turn your head and know kind of the world's not going to keep spinning beyond it. I was dizzy, my balance was weird, and I was weak. My body was weak and it hurt. This incision was very tight, so I could only turn my neck a certain amount of time. You know enough about driving horses to know that you need to be able to almost turn around and look at you, especially if you're going fast through high-speed obstacles. And I was so scared that I wouldn't be able to drive at all. And I started driving in early May, and it was awful. My trainer just was like, we'll just keep going. I'll ride with you for now. His arm around me, making sure I didn't fall out of the vehicle. And I didn't compete at the first show. I just knew I wasn't safe. And then I competed through the summer. But I was scared. I didn't go fast this summer. I'm getting it back. I know my juju will be back next year. When I went into the surgery, I knew that was really serious. I might not make it through the surgery. There was at least a 25% chance that I wasn't coming back out of the OR alive. And the doctor told me about that very frankly. What's your human reaction to be in terror? To go into that surgery in terror, which to me feels like being a victim to that. Even if I died and I was prepared to die, I was not going to die in terror. I wanted to die making a choice. I wanted to die being peaceful. I wanted my family to see me going into that surgery peaceful, to know that I chose to have this surgery, and I knew what the risk was, and I was grateful for everything that happened. There's not one thing in my life that I would change, really. And I did not want to put my precious body through the experience of being terrified. Because even if you're under anesthesia, you're still in there. You're still aware. Your body's, you're still you. I wanted to be able to be at peace in my heart. And I had a really ornate process of doing that. And I enrolled the nurses and I enrolled the anesthesiologist. It was a program I was following that was about trying to help you have a positive outcome after the surgery, but it didn't go far enough for me. It didn't talk about not being afraid in the surgery. And so I took it further than that, and I had intentions. They read them to me as I was going under. They read them to me every half hour while I was under. My family was reading them. I asked people on Facebook if they wanted to think about them while I was in surgery. They could do that, and people did.
The intentions. I'm not asking you to remember them, but generally what was
Well,
it?
some of them were about physical things, that I wouldn't lose a small amount of blood as possible, that I'd be able to urinate afterwards, and my body would work afterwards. But I added things about I will be peaceful. The chemistry in my body will be peaceful chemistry, that I won't be in terror. I'll be at peace with my choice, and my body will be flexible and malleable, not rigid.
And your medical staff was willing to do this in surgery, in the midst of surgery?
The surgeon looked at me and said, but the minute I mentioned it to the anesthesiologist, he said, oh yeah, I know all about that, and that's fine, we'll do it however you want to do it. He said, sometimes people choose to do that, and we're set up for it. But I explained to him that I was going further, and he was like, okay, that's fine, good idea. Because anesthesiologists understand the body's responding. You're not asleep. You're conscious in a different way.
Right.
So he was totally cool with all of this. And then when I got to the hospital, somebody had asked me at some point, what's your totem? What's your Native American spirit animal for this? And I'm not a big believer in co-opting Native American culture. I am not Native American. I respect it. I'm not that, and I'm going to leave that to you guys, But so I said, I just blurted it out. I said, the cockroach. That's my spirit animal, the cockroach. And they thought it was going to be the horse or the butterfly or the whatever. And I said, think about it. Well, how can you kill cockroaches? They do not die. They will be here through everything. Everything else will be gone, and there'll be cockroaches, right? And maybe Twinkie wrappers, and that'll be it. That'll be all that's left. And I started thinking about this, and I thought, hell yeah, that's my mascot. And so my team at work took it up. They got Team Cockroach t-shirts, and they sent me notes and video messages. They completely got it. And then another friend of ours in Rochester found this beautiful drawing of a cockroach. It's like a botanical or like a science illustration. And she had them made into stickers. And I had one on my hospital gown. And I went in and I had stickers I knew the surgeon wasn't going to wear a cockroach. But I gave it to the anesthesiologist and the nurse anesthetist. And they loved it. They said, this is the greatest thing. They had it on their thing. They're like, Team Cockroach, we love it. I said, we're invoking the spirit of the cockroach. And so when I get to my 5-year anniversary, I'm going to buy a gold cockroach.